there! In this screencast, we're going to be taking a look at privacy, challenges, and ethics. These are all issues that tend to show up in the library that you as teachers may not be aware of. So I want to share just little bits of information about these so that you have an idea when I talk about them what I'm referring to and why they're so important in terms of our school library. So privacy first. We all know everybody has a right to privacy, but there are actual laws that protect it, including FERPA and COPPA. FERPA is the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act that protects all the child's information. And the COPPA, Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, was put in place to help with internet safety more than anything. But it's protecting the child's username, putting up firewalls, and internet protection to keep the kids safe. So what this means for you is that I'm not going to share their circulation records. I don't keep records of what people have checked out. It doesn't matter. You can check out what you check out. I'm never going to post a list of overdues or give you a list and say, hey, can you get these from the kids? What they check out is private. What they do on the computer is private. What information I collect is private, and I'm going to collect the bare minimum of information, not only about the students, but about you as a teacher. I'm not going to be looking to see, are there trends and what they're searching for. I'm not going to be checking any of that. What they do in the library is their business. What books they check out, all of that is theirs. I'm not going to go and tell that, they've checked out 8 different books that are all manga. It doesn't matter. It's what they're checking out. It's what they want. And I don't release any of that information. The next thing I wanted to just kind of go over is challenges to material. Sometimes someone is going to disagree with a book. The most recent book to stir up controversy is The Hate U Give. A lot of people have been talking about that book, and for example, I don't know how many of you are aware that our neighboring school district, Katy ISD, made the decision to pull it from the shelves. Challenges to a book can come from anywhere. It can come from a parent, it can come from a student, it can come from a community member, it can come from a political group or a community-based group. If someone challenges a book, what do you do? Well, the first thing you need to do is talk to the person making the challenge. If a parent calls you and says, hey, I've got an issue with this book you're teaching, I don't think it's appropriate, talk to the parent, find out why they don't like it, make sure that they've read the entire thing. You can't challenge a book you haven't read. A lot of times just having that conversation can solve the problem. If it is a library book, direct them to me. Let me talk to them, and again, sometimes that really does resolve the problem. There is a district policy for challenges. If a parent complains, there is, or a group or whatever, there is a policy to follow. It involves filling out several forms. The complainant must have read the entire book. That's key. You can't ask for a book to be removed without having read it. And once their paperwork is filled out and they tell us why they disagree with the book and what happens, a committee gets together. And that committee Depends on the school. Usually it's a principal, it's a librarian, it's a reading specialist, or a department head. And they go through and look at the complaint. They all must read the book. And then a decision is made at that point. It can be appealed to the school board, and the policy remains the same. There's actually a district level and then a school board level where it goes to either the head of elementary education or the head of secondary ed. And then instructional specialists are pulled in to read it. And then finally, if they appeal it again, it goes to the district. And then the school board has to read it and make a decision. I'm not going to pull a book because there was a complaint. I'm not. Books don't get pulled until a decision is made by the committee. I'm not going to take it out of circulation. The key at this point is to teach students how to select the right book for them. Not every book is right for everybody. If you know your religious beliefs, you don't pick a book that's contradictory to them, because it is going to offend you. You've got to take a look at the book and know what you're reading. We need to teach the students that it is okay to abandon a book that they don't agree with. But just because they don't agree with it doesn't mean that I'm going to pull it from the shelves. Same thing with you as a teacher. There may be books in the library where you're going, why on earth does she have this? One of the ones that comes to mind is a recent book called George, which is about a transgender child. There's been a lot of controversy with that book. But it's going to stay on my shelf. You may disagree, but somewhere there might be a child in this building who needs to read that book. And I'm going to make sure it's there. The purpose of the library is information. And I need to have information to meet the needs of every child in the school. I need to meet their needs based on their gender. I need to meet their needs based on their sexual preference. I need to meet their needs based on their cultural experience. I need to meet their needs based on their heritage. I need to meet their needs based on what is going on in their lives. And I'm going to make sure I have a book for that. The last thing I want to talk about is ethics and the internet. This one's a big one, especially when we start dealing with junior high level students, because they are with a piece of technology in their hand 24/7. They know how to use the internet, but what they're doing isn't always ethical. And we have got to teach them that. I included this slide because this is the 10 Commandments of Internet Use from a blog by Peter Vogel, and it's a great way to kind of do an overview of what internet ethics is all about. That you shall not use the internet to harm other people. This is where we get into cyberbullying, which is such a huge problem, especially at the junior high level. You shall not interfere with other people's internet work, hacking, deleting people's files, getting into other people's email. You shall not snoop around in other people's internet files. Just because somebody left it open doesn't mean it's there for you to look at. You shall not use the internet to steal. I don't think kids always understand that downloading music that without paying the artist is stealing. that they've got to be careful in those things. The same thing is just using it for something unethical to get money from people. Bear false witness. Okay, you have to explain that one if you use it like this. But this is rumors. This is lies. This is gossip. Okay. You don't copy and use software that you haven't paid for. I'm going to throw out here for you as teachers, this is following the user's information on like Teachers Pay Teachers. You can't give somebody the file that you bought because it is for a single user, and you're violating that, and you are denying that person their money. So that's something to consider. I mean, we've all done it with, but you think about it. We're giving it out, and we're not paying the person who created it. You won't use other people's internet resources without authorization or proper compensation, which is what I was just mentioning. Appropriate other people's intellectual output. This is plagiarism. This is taking other people's stuff and saying it is your own. In junior high, we have to teach these kids about plagiarism. We have to teach them how to paraphrase. We can't assume that they know how to do it. We've got to model this. We're going to have to get articles and show them how to take it. What's the key point? Write down just that key point. Write down where your source was so you can cite it. This is one of the most important things, because so many kids think it's okay to copy and paste. And they can't do that. Number 9. Think about the social consequences of what you're doing. Now, it says the program you're writing or the system you are designing. But think about the social consequences of what you post, which goes to number 10. In ways that use the internet in ways that ensure consideration and respect. Are you posting a picture that will humiliate someone? Did you ask permission to post the picture of someone? Are you spreading a rumor about what you heard? Are you doing something in some way that is disrespectful to another person? We have to teach these children this. They need to understand that the internet is a tool for information, and it is a tool that can be used for socializing. But we have to be careful. Now, teachers, all of these ethical use things apply to you as well. Part of what you sign at the beginning of each year is that you're going to use the district computers appropriately. It's one of the forms you sign off at the beginning of the year. This means that you're using the school computers for educational purposes. You're not just going to teach this. You have got to put it into practice. Make sure that your social media account is private, that you are not friending students. If you are, please make sure you are doing it from a professional account. Make sure you have every control on it and that you are monitoring it closely. The district guidelines tell you who you can and cannot friend. Professional accounts need to be professional. Personal accounts need to stay private. It's that